Well, a blessed Samhain to you if you celebrate. It is the start of a new year, and I think it's appropriate to have a Samhain blessing in terms of a tarot reading. Today I am using the Wildwood Tarot. There is what the book looks like. If you're interested for getting it for yourself. Something I should say is that I've already drawn 3 cards to kind of get a general theme for this particular reading. And now that I've seen it, I need to say that I am an American and I'm living in the United States, and that I'm reading within that particular context, okay? I should also say that I am filming this on Samhain Eve, so just a little bit before actual Samhain. So if that gives you any indication as to what date it is, if that's relevant to you, there it is, okay? So there are no reversals with how I deal with the Wildwood, but what I do have first here is the 3 of Arrows, also known as the 3 of Swords. It's also known as the Jealousy card with the Wildwood Tarot. This is much more of an action-oriented, much more violent 3 of Swords. It's on fire. The heart is on fire. Deep, burning jealousy. What this indicates to me as an American, specifically just before a 4-year election cycle, the end of a 4-year election cycle, I feel like there's going to be a particular side that loses. And there's going to be this ridiculous amount of burning, violent jealousy that could potentially change the course of history, of American history, and by extension, other countries' history, some other countries' history as well. This is quite possibly at least the radical change of an empire, if not the beginning of a fall. Okay, guys are saying, oh honey, the fall has been going on now for decades, since the 1950s. Interesting. 60s it accelerated. Okay. The beginning of an ultimate crash, a catastrophic crash, that's going to herald the start of a new journey. Okay? So the 3 of Swords, or the 3 of Arrows, came out first, but this signals the start of a whole new journey that we can choose to take if we choose to take it. It's going to be a choice for us, and it's not going to be an easy one either. This points to catastrophe and quite possibly being forced to start over, because the other side burned things down to the ground, or a particular side, the other side, a side, burned things to the ground, and now everybody has to deal with the consequences. Everybody has to start over. What you should note is that this particular Fool, this is the Fool card in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, they are about to cross a rainbow bridge, which is a bit different from the Rider-Waite-Smith version. This particular card says that if we choose to start over and take a new path, to let the past go, in spite of how painful it may genuinely be. And I'm getting Project 2025 again. I do have a reading for Project 2025 that I did earlier this summer that I think could probably become relevant. If you want to see it, I'll have it linked somewhere up top and down in the description down below. But with the Rainbow Bridge, that's spirit, source, your deities, your ancestors, the universe lifting you over uncertain times, symbolized by the fog. You're not going to be able to see clearly too far ahead. What matters is that you're able to see the rainbow bridge as it leads you to where you're meant to go. And where are you meant to go? You're meant to become your own seer, your own high priestess, your own priest. You're meant to be your own mystical being. You take spiritual guidance from yourself only. What I should say is only from your ancestors, only from source. You don't need to rely on external factors or other people to tell you what to do. And actually, the Fool card comes first because it's going to be a long-term journey, a lifetime journey towards you becoming your own high priest, your own high priestess, or a combination of the two, a mixture of the two. What it means is that you're going to have to take a spiritual path to help yourself through these times. Specifically, what this heralds to me, partly it's not just the end of an era when it comes to the United States. I have seen in my readings for Pluto in Aquarius that over the next 20-ish years, and Pluto in Aquarius starts around November 11th, I believe. Okay? For real, it really starts then. We had a taste of it earlier this year and a little bit last year in 2023 as well. Now we're getting serious. Now we're actually starting to live in the energy of Pluto in Aquarius. Okay? And I think that this is going to be part of it. That's the sensation, not necessarily, but it will herald the start of the end times for the United States. And not in the end times in the sense, in the Christian revelation sense, okay? Definitely let go of that energy, but things are going to change and twist in ways that we didn't expect over the next 20, 30, 40 years. These are going to be impactful changes that take us into the next Pluto in Aquarius season if the human race lives to see it. I don't know. With climate change, it seems that we've been kind of hell-bent on this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle to get more of a message. That was the general theme. If there are any specific messages that Spirit would like to send to us or to anyone who is interested in the drama that's going on in the United States right now that's about to turn serious, I feel like, stay tuned, okay? So I've had water and I'm shuffling. I shuffle until Spirit tells me to stop. No reversals are needed, I'm getting, but if they accidentally come into the reading, I don't consider them accidental at all, okay? So I'm going to pull 3 at a time. We have clearance, the 7 of bows. This is decommissioning old bows that have been used up. Obviously, if you have ancestors that used bows and arrows, eventually those bows wouldn't be as pliable or as useful in shooting arrows as hard, as fast anymore. And eventually they need to be decommissioned and gotten ready for the fire, and new bows need to be cut. It's clearance season, and it lands on top of the jealousy card. Here's the thing. This is going to be a really hard season for a lot of people. These are major events. These are major arcana cards, and even though this is a minor arcana card, this is talking about a major event. It escalates into a major event. Burning of the capital, quite possibly. Let us pray for peace on earth. But this is meant to be a season of clearance. It is painful, but the universe, source, is using it for a higher good. It is clearing out the old, which no longer serves, in order to welcome in the new. Something I should say is that in a few days, we in the United States, at least, are going to have a new moon in Scorpio. It might be different in other parts of the world. On November 1st. That is literally the god of death, the planet associated with rebirth, transformation, death, the taboo, sex, that kind of thing, transiting into its home zodiac sign of Scorpio at new moon. This is an incredibly transformative time for us. It is a time for rest, if at all possible. It is a time to get further down or commit to a spiritual path. It is a time to allow the old to flow out. I hope you can see that. And allow the new to come in. And it's going to be hard. Just know that it's going to be hard, and that grief is a part of the process of actually clearing things out and saying, it's time to move on and fight the war from a different angle. Just because evil wins a battle does not mean that it wins the war. It cannot. Source, the universe, the deities that guide us will not allow it. Eventually, we will be incarnated into bodies that no longer need to go through this constant cycle of relearning lessons that we didn't learn properly the first time, of having to relieve karmic debt. Now this is interesting. The Four of Bows. Celebration for some, starting a new journey. Moving away. This is enjoying time in separate places for some, and not so much for others. This is the story, the political story, quite possibly leading up. Clearance, celebrating a victory, the end of an era, the end of a political election cycle, celebrating we won. And it feels like we're being guided to something really, really specific. This is the Star card. About healing, about equalizing, but it's also associated with the zodiac sign Aquarius. Uranus is the home planet of Aquarius. We are moving into Pluto in Aquarius on November 11th, after November 11th, okay? That's the end of Pluto in Capricorn. Old foundations that have served for since the last Pluto in Capricorn, since the last Pluto in Aquarius, if you will, are falling down, and it's time for a new era for the United States to begin. This is Pluto in Aquarius starting. And then things could change radically. But keep in mind that we are still being guided, divinely guided towards our best and our highest good, if we allow it. There's some naivete, I feel, in celebrating, possibly too early. Somebody might call the election too early and declare that Kamala might win, when in fact she did. But there's a real effort from what I understand at this point of filming, that there is a real effort to attempt to genuinely try to steal the election from the opposing side. And I wonder if that isn't what this jealousy card wasn't about. From the opposing side. Jealousy. Not again. We're not going to do this again. Never again. We don't want a black woman in office, is what the opposing side says with this particular card. No way in hell. Not my president. Possibly celebrating too early. The election cycle ends. Celebrating. But things change, and we still have a dark forest to wander through with just a guiding star to take us through. Just the universe, just source, just our guides, our ancestors, our deities, just those entities to guide us. And that is what is going to help us become the seers that we need to be. We have the Page of Stones, and it is the Lynx, a very fierce but very beautiful particular creature, very strong, fast-moving, deeply protective of its young, if you will. This lands on top of the Seven of Bows. It's clearance. It's about family, being deeply protective, being a hunter. With the Page of Stones, this is someone who doesn't have too much in the way of financial resources or any kinds of resources that make their bodies comfortable. These are people who are not necessarily active, who get on the prowl. This could be harmful, this could be destructive. These are people who say, I'm going to try to do something, and they cause accidents. They cause actual harm. It's going to be like kid pranks, like on the level of like stupid kid pranks, like middle school pranks, but somehow it gets people actually harmed, maimed, killed in some way. Like there are consequences for this, people lashing out as a result of being dissatisfied with how the election cycle will apparently end. We have the King of Arrows. This is the Kingfisher. This is not the page. In fact, this is a bird. I think that you should watch videos of it if it's not a bird that's native. If it's not a bird that's native, or if you're not familiar with the bird. It's really fantastic to watch. This is a bird that hovers in the air and surveys water and hunts for fish, and then goes straight down into the water, gets the fish out of the water, and flies away with it. An incredible hunter, once again. But this is someone who is comfortable in the air, just like they are briefly in the water. They don't have a problem being in both elements, and also taking on the element of fire and taking action quickly. Normally, this would be a good card, but in the context of this particular reading, this is going to be a context of foot soldiers, if you will, and people who are genuine masterminds and who know how to take advantage of an opportunity when it's least expected. The King of Arrows lands on top of the Four of Bows, while one particular side is celebrating their victory, which may have been called too early. This might be when these kinds of people send these kinds of people out to take advantage of, we're doing everything okay. It's going to be okay. When one particular side says, it's going to be okay, we won, this is when people are going to be sent out to attack. the people who are celebrating. Again, lashing out of complete jealousy. Again, real harm is going to be done here. It's not a snake, but something fishy is in the water. I feel like that there are going to be social media attacks, and I feel like this is very, like when you get with knights, that's a very teenager-ish kind of energy. This is not a mature energy at all. Excuse me. Again, with the lashing out, but also trying to find ways of getting under people's skin. And this lands on top of this particular stack right here. Part of becoming a high priestess, a seer, a high priest, is going through the process of growing into the kind of people who can handle stuff when it's lobbed our way. Okay? What that means is you go through enough stuff that childish, teenagerish attacks don't mean anything to you because you've been through shit. And it just doesn't mean anything to you. That's a process that you're going to have to go through if you haven't already gone through. Stay off social media. Even if you feel like there's a victory to be celebrated, don't celebrate it. Do so quietly. Do not go online about this. Don't give these kinds of people the satisfaction of bringing you down publicly. If you're going to be brought down emotionally, and I feel like there's a real risk that you may, again, my Project 2025 video explains why that's a real risk. Do not give these people the satisfaction. Grieve in private if things go south, go wrong, okay? We have what is traditionally the devil card in the Rider-Waite-Smith system, but in this particular case it is called the Guardian. And it's exactly what it is. It's a skeleton. It looks genuinely foreboding, very foreboding. But the key is you're meant to push it over or walk under it or figure out a way around it. You're not meant to be afraid of it. Your mind is your own worst enemy. You are meant to conquer your mind. You are meant to conquer your deepest, darkest fears. And you're meant to continue on your path. Remember the pole star that's guiding you towards becoming the seer. There are going to be people who attack you or who piss you off. Maybe not attack you directly. They may attack you directly. You are meant to stand firm, to stay strong and stand your ground and understand that working with Source, working with the universe towards a universal justice for all of humanity is in our best collective interest. No matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter who you are, justice for all of humanity is the absolute key here. That's what we're pushing towards here. Keep that in mind when people kick dirt in your face. Again, guided by these people, you need to pay attention to the people, to the puppet masters pulling the strings, as opposed to being distracted by a page of pentacles or a knight of cups who's using emotional attacks to make themselves feel bigger, feel stronger. Stay offline. Stay quiet. Keep yourself sane. If it works for you, do some meditation. Do some kind of spiritual work that edifies you. Defeat your shadows during this particular time. And do not go back to sleep. We are in for rough times. You can choose to grow as a result of this, or you can choose to turn into the worst version of yourself. There are no monsters, there are no heroes when it comes to human beings. There are just human beings who do a whole shitload of damage, in addition to people who do a whole shitload of good. And there is no binary either. A person can do a lot of good in the public scene, but do so much damage privately. And everything a mixture in between. Okay? That potential is within all of us. We need to go through a time of healing after we defeat whatever our shadows may be surrounding this particular election cycle, surrounding the start of Pluto in Aquarius, and whatever consequences come from this particular season. This is going to be a rough season, I feel. Getting together in communities, supportive communities, will be a great assistance. My nose just itched. That's probably advice for me too, okay? But with the 7 of Stones, yes, the 7 of Stones, that's about taking a moment to heal. This is a green woman healing a warrior after he's gone through a serious battle. Whatever you are fighting right here, whatever we are fighting right here, this devil, this guardian, is a formidable one indeed. It is not going to be just as simple as push it over it, walk around it, climb it if you have to. It's not going to be that simple. It's going to be part of the fool's journey. It's going to have to do with society at large. There are going to be a lot of people who will be deeply devastated by a turn of events. Like, their attacks are going to get under some people's skin. Do not react. Do not get on social media. Defeat, work with your grief, and find a way to move on through healing. This is also the 7 of Pentacles card. This is about watching consequences grow, but also sitting back for just a second and appreciating how hard you've worked. If indeed you go through the process of grieving and saying, we will fight on. Evil does not win as long as we are alive, as long as we are fighting for the light, as long as we are becoming light seers, following our spiritual path, following our spiritual pathways. As long as we are becoming light seers, that is ultimately all that matters. One more card and no more. The Queen of Stones. We will end with the Queen of Stones with the bear. Does the phrase Mama Bear mean anything to you? Because that's definitely what I get off of this particular card. I think bears are some of the cutest animals in the animal kingdom. However, no one wants to fuck with a bear. No one wants to fuck with a mama bear or any of her cubs, because God knows how she will fuck you up if for some reason you get between her and her cubs. This is going to be about fighting fiercely for family, and for a lot of people, because this lands on the stack that has the seer and the pole star, with these Knight of Vessels attacks, I do see a lot of people who have a genuine heart, a good mixture of Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo energy together with Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces energy, okay? With that Queen of Stones, that is earth and water energy. It'll be people like you, very firm people who are deeply emotional and intuitive, who are going to be really kind of the firewall, the bulwark, is that the word? Who are going to be a fortress, a wall against these particular attacks. Because you, earth, water signs, are going to be able to see very easily these kinds of childish teenagerish emotional attacks. You're going to see them for what they are, and you're going to say, fuck you. Fuck you. And you're going to be able to teach others how to defeat their demons. When it comes to what happens here, you're going to teach other people how to heal. And that, for the Samhain message, specifically, we're ending on a note for those who can tap into their groundedness while also tapping into their intuitive, their emotional clarity, into your compassion, into your love for others. If you can tap into that, you don't need to be an earth, water sign, but you can imitate those who are. You can take inspiration from those who are. And you can grow into this kind of person to help others through this difficult season. This will not be easy. Project 2025 and the other things that are going to come alongside it. There's more waiting in the wings that they haven't talked about. I'm getting from Spirit that they're going to execute alongside Project 2025 because they want to ram this through. They want to rush this through because they don't feel like they have too much. They want changes as fast as possible. They want as much money, as much power over the common people as possible. They are on their way to destroying this democracy, this republic, whatever you choose to call it. And you have to let it be in some ways. Fight, not entirely to the death, but fight as hard as you can in order to say that you did. But understand that sometimes the course of history goes towards a direction we didn't want it to go. And that Spirit, that the universe, that Source, the divine, is still working with that course of events, even when we don't want it. It's important to continue to work with Spirit while we go through difficult times. No more from me. Thank you for listening or for watching. I appreciate your attention. A blessed Samhain to you. Take care.